Welcome back to the Sentinel Report. Alex Newman here, folks. What's going on in Romania is absolutely huge. I mean, it's earth-shattering. Even the fake media is noticing, which is unusual. Essentially, the nation's constitutional court has decided that the frontrunner for the presidential election cannot run in the presidential election. Now, we decided that this was very weird. And so just a few weeks ago, when he was first detained with a lot of his supporters, we reached out to George Simion. He's a member of parliament in Romania. He's the founder and the chairman of the Alliance for the Union of Romanians. It's actually the second largest party in Romania. And George Simion is now considered the front runner in this election, even by the fake media. He's also the vice president of the European Conservatives and Reformists. And when Georgescu was removed from the running, George Simion decided he would throw his hat in the ring, and he has now pulled ahead of all the other candidates. So he joins us now. George Simion, thank you very much for being with us. Can you explain to American viewers why this court decided that Georgescu could not run? Why was his second bid for president rejected?
Călin Georgescu's second bid for president was rejected because he posed a direct challenge to the political establishment. They saw he serves the will of the Romanian people rather than foreign interests. His exclusion was not about legality or democracy. It was about control. The ruling elites in Romania, aligned with globalists in Brussels, saw that he was gaining support from Romanians who wanted real change. So they removed him before he could make their voices heard. This is part of a broader trend in Europe, actually. Whenever a candidate emerges who puts national interests over globalist agendas, they get discredited. They are attacked or eliminated through technicalities or through direct abuses and breach of the rule of law. It is no coincidence that nationalists and the leaders, political conservatives, patriots across the West face similar tactics. In Romania, this is happening under the pretext, the false pretext, of protecting democracy. True democracy means letting the people decide, not bureaucrats behind closed doors, not deep state.
Fascinating. Yeah, it sure sounds like what we have seen in the United States and in other parts of the Western world as well. It's very, very troubling. So I've got to ask you, George, this NATO base that is being built in Romania, do you think that plays into this election? Are globalist forces trying to make Romania a gateway to starting a broader war with the Russians, with the regime of Vladimir Putin?
Well, actually, Romania's strategic position in Eastern Europe makes it a key player in regional security. However, we must ensure that our role in NATO serves the interests of Romanian people first and foremost. NATO is an important alliance for Romania's security, but we cannot allow our country to be used as a pawn in geopolitical conflicts. Romanians do not want to be dragged into unnecessary wars. The NATO base being built in Romania must be, therefore, about defense, because NATO is a defensive alliance, not escalation. We support cooperation with our allies, but we demand respect for our sovereignty. The Romanian people deserve a clear strategy that protects our national interests and enhances their security and prosperity. Not one that follows orders without question from globalists in Washington and Brussels.
Yeah, thank you for that, George. And you sound like a lot of the other candidates we've seen across the Western world who have been ruthlessly persecuted. Whether we're talking about Donald Trump, whether we're talking about Georgescu, whether we're talking about Jair Bolsonaro, we're seeing similar things all over the place. And so I got to ask you, George, why are you running considering these circumstances? And do you think you are going to be targeted like Georgescu was?
I am running because Romania needs leadership that puts its own people first, while maintaining strong but balanced relationships with allies. I fully expect to face the same persecution as Georgescu, if not worse. The establishment will do everything in its power to prevent someone like me, who refuses to be a puppet, from gaining influence. We are already seeing media attacks, legal threats, and efforts to discredit our movement. But on the good side, the Romanian people are waking up. They see our country has been treated as a second-tier member of the European Union. This is not just about one election. This is about whether Romania can govern itself or whether it must always bow to external pressures. It is expected to follow directives rather than have a say in its own future. This must change. My campaign is not about separatism or breaking ties with our allies. It is about strengthening Romania's position in those alliances, ensuring that we are equal partners who have sovereignty and decision-making.
Excellent, George. Thank you very much. And so, it sounds like what is happening all over, and I appreciate your comments on that. But if you are elected, and it looks very possible that you will be, in fact, the media, as I said, is already calling you the front runner in this election, so we'll see what happens. But if you win, what steps do you plan to take on the globalist agenda, the one world order crowd?
Well, if I am elected, my priority will be to change the decision-making power to Romania's people. I will fight for democracy. I will fight for the will of the people. And also I will fight to engage with our allies as equals, not as second-class citizens or slaves. Romania must take control of its own policies, whether economic, social, or military. We are and we will remain part of the EU, but we will fight for the same level of sovereignty that other countries like France and Germany enjoy. In terms of security, I will work to ensure that our role in NATO is clear and beneficial to Romania. Of course, we want a strong NATO led by the United States. We need peace throughout the European continent. We will support collective defense, but we will not be drawn into conflicts that do not align with our national interests. A strong Romania within NATO means a Romania that has its say in its defense strategy, not just a country that follows orders. Finally, I will take action to restore economic growth. We will reduce the red tape, bureaucracy in local and national administration. We need policies that encourage national development, support local business, and reduce dependence on external financial institutions that want to dictate our policies. This is not about isolation. It is about ensuring that Romanians have control over their own future. This election is about proving that sovereignty, democracy, and cooperation can coexist. We reject both globalist overreach and authoritarian interference, whether from Brussels, Washington, bureaucratic elites, or Moscow. We are a part of the free world, and we want to remain a part of the free world, which is represented by the EU-US cooperation.
Well, George, fascinating. We thank you very much for taking time from your incredibly busy schedule to join us, and we wish you well. Folks, go follow MP George Simion, very likely the next president of Romania, taking on the same globalist forces that we here in the United States, that Donald Trump in the United States is attempting to rein in. He is the most followed political figure in Romania, so go check him out. He's on Instagram, he's on Facebook, he's on Twitter, he's on all the big platforms. Stay with us. We're going to be right back here on the Sentinel Report.